I'm gonna give you some words, and I want you to answer with the first thoughts or memories that come through your mind, not very elaborated, just simple, okay?
Sure.
What if I say frijoles?
Ah, beans. Well, you see, my friend Sandra, who's a major character in the book, Sandra Uribe, who helped me so much with the book, is in the book. She returns. She represents that generation of kids forced to leave the country because of the violence in the '80s. And when she returned, she created an almost obsession with beans.
I have an obsession with beans.
Yeah, and
I love
and
it.
I think it's the way that they grow, the tenacity, the way the tendrils reach for the light, the blossoms for the sun. And she cultivates hundreds of varieties on her farm above Medellin. And she and I are actually going to do a book on beans together. And one of the things she loves about beans is the evidence from archaeology and ethnobotany that beans are our only major food that were originally domesticated not as food but as ornaments. So beans represent all that is vital, resilient in the Colombian spirit.
Okay. What about if I say the word trocha?
Ah, trail or camino. This idea of these foot trails that link like threads the entire fabric of the nation. For me, when I was first in Colombia as a student, I was there when I was a little boy, 14. But when I was there, when I was 20, I spent almost all my time in the wild country, walking on trails far more often than driving or walking on roads. And I remember once I was in the Darien of the Chocó, and we'd been lost for some time without food and shelter with three Kuna indigenous men. And it was at the end of a long journey through hundreds of kilometers of swamp and rainforest in the rainy season. And we didn't have at this point, any food or any shelter. And we were carrying two of the native people who hurt themselves. Well, one, it doesn't matter. The details are important. But we suddenly, I came along a trail in Trocha, an animal trail actually, and suddenly I saw a black jaguar just about 5 feet from me in the trail. And if you meet a jaguar in the forest, the yellow eyes see right through you. You feel like you've been X-rayed. And at the time, we thought we had days and days to find our way to safety. But at the end of that day, I came upon the cleared bulldozer track of the Pan American Highway, and we found our way to safety after that difficult passage. So
I
that's
knew
what.
you were gonna give me good answers. What about if I say mamo?
Well, the MAMOS are the sun priests. It's like the MAMOS say that the blood that runs through a person's veins is the same blood as the water that runs through a river, and in this sense, they're completely correct. We're all part of the hydrological cycle, whereby fluid reaches the sea evaporates in the clouds, and the clouds precipitate once again on the mountains. But for me, the MAMOS are so important because my first exposure to another worldview was when I was 20, living amongst the Arhuacos. And I remember very strongly one night with my mentor and brother, Tim Plowman, I couldn't sleep. And I went outside in the starlight in a small Arhuaco village on the Rio Donachui. And I just looked at the crown of a ceiba tree and all the innumerable silence of the stars. And I realized that I could actually do this as a life. I could go from indigenous society to indigenous society, telling stories of the wonder of culture, and that someone would pay me to do it. And that was the moment when and also it's a moment when I realized the importance of other ways of thinking. The MAMOS literally believe that their rituals and prayers maintain the cosmic balance of the world. They call themselves the elder brothers, and they dismiss the rest of us who have violated the earth as the younger brother. And the training for the priesthood involves, 18 years in the shadowy world of darkness, whereby the world only exists as an abstraction, as they are taught the acolyte that the rituals are so important. And then suddenly, after this long initiation, as Reichel Domatov reported, and as I later observed, the initiates are taken out on a journey to the heart of the world, where the world that has only existed as an abstraction is revealed in all of its glory. And the priest who's done the training sort of says to the young initiate, you see, it's as I've promised you. The world really is that beautiful. It's yours to protect. And that's a message that I carried away from the mountains as a young man of 20, and I've never forgotten.